Quitters never win. They don't achieve anything worthwhile. A fighter will succeed when others have given up. Fight for what's most important. Persevere. Learn to struggle. Keep pushing and pushing and pushing. If necessary, just keep going. Never give up. I spoke the same introductory words at the beginning of a much shorter film on the same subject that we shot in the United States of America 2 years ago. Now, in this film, we'll go into more detail about never give up, resilience, grit and perseverance. As you can see, I'm out of the studio again, this time in the Scottish Highlands for a change of scenery. We're genuine experts on the subject of never give up, not least because we've practically applied it in action for many years, as well as understanding what we're doing. One of many examples where I've had to use determination was when I put up a large part of the perimeter game fence around our own Comsberg Wilderness Nature Reserve in South Africa. The fence is 98 kilometres in length and 2.4 metres high. I worked with just one other team member, another woman, working week after week, month after month, with no break or holiday. The terrain was challenging, up and down mountains, with almost no road access. All the fencing materials had to be carried in before we erected it all. A single roll of fencing wire weighed 50 kilos, not far short of my own weight, and the chunky wooden straining posts were even heavier. Many hundreds of these big wooden posts and rolls of wire were needed, plus line posts and thousands of metal droppers. It was tough work, extremely challenging, but we found a way and we did it. Deliberately working non-paid, because we don't like how the majority of charities waste money achieving little. You already know that another of our 16 key factors is actions speak louder than words, the need for an anti-hypocrisy test. So we're not hypocrites. We really do what we say, and we understand the ins and outs of it all. So I'm very serious when I say that we're experts. Grit was, at last, confirmed by academics a few years ago as being a necessary characteristic for achieving outstanding success. Since then, unfortunately, lots of people have jumped on the bandwagon, spouting out a load of superficial drivel about what they think is involved, but without first living any serious demonstration through doing it themselves. Some of what is written or talked about is just plain wrong, embarrassingly so when you know what's what as we do. A lot of it is merely a fluffy, watered-down version of the real thing, basically missing the point. With us, there's no bullshit, no jargon, no buzzwords, no hype. We live it, we do it, we know what we're talking about. It's that simple. Most people live a very different life to the heroic, never give up quality that we're talking about. Yet almost everyone recognises what it is when they're watching a special moment during the Olympic Games, or a climatic scene in an action movie when the hero saves the day because they've kept going when others have given up. They love to cheer on a determined winner, especially when it's against the odds. But they don't do it or live it themselves. If we're bluntly honest, the majority of people are quitters. They're just not in the game, even if it's been normalised as everyday mundane behaviour because so many people do it. As we've previously seen, conditioning is basically monkey do what monkey see. You copy the behaviour of others, adapting it all with your unique variations. You initially learn by example, reinforced through repeated habits, that quitting seems to be the easier option. At first glance, it reduces anxiety or helps avoid or minimise the emotional disappointment of failure. But on deeper inspection, you lose out on becoming much more. You settle for being average or thereabouts, fitting in rather than excelling. There's nothing heroic about your life. You've blandly joined in with the rat race, instead of daring to be different and following your highest dream. As a consequence, you haven't ever needed to learn never give up, because you haven't really started to develop your human potential, going way beyond what's standard or normal. Thankfully, your character isn't set in stone. You've got a choice. You can learn anew, changing how you are to something or someone better and bigger. Going beyond existing habit isn't easy. You'll need to put in bucket loads of effort, although it can be done. But you mustn't quit. Before continuing, we need to step away from the subject of never give up for a moment or two to remind ourselves of something that's required beforehand. It enables change to happen, or, in its absence, disables the possibility of significant change. As we explained early on in this series of films, you have two fundamental choices in life. You can stay the same, accepting your lot, wallpapering over the cracks, avoiding whatever upsets you or is too much, and so on. Or, alternatively, you can decide to grow into a better person. The vast majority of people pretty much veer towards taking the path of least resistance, keeping their heads down and therefore living the supposed to be life. Even many who claim to be interested in change or personal development do little to actually make the idea a reality. But some seriously do go for change, attempting transformation. If you choose this latter approach of embracing change and more change, of unfolding or developing your human potential, then the key factor of never give up will become one of your essential tools for increased capability. In a nutshell, quitting is deciding to stay the same, or maybe slip backwards, whereas the determination of never give up is a necessary characteristic for moving forwards, going beyond the limitations. Now let's look at the difference between resilience, grit, and perseverance. There's been a lot of muddled thinking about these three words. Resilience is the ability to bounce back from adversity, to quickly recover from the tough times, the difficulties that life inevitably throws at you. Rather than giving up, feeling sorry for yourself, wallowing in self-pity, you carry on with the pursuit of your dream, driven on with a sense of purpose. But this resilience is a consequence, a secondary factor of focusing on the primary consideration of your vision or expectation. Grit is developed when there's physical or psychological struggle. You just grit your teeth, keep going, determined to get through. It's a short-term resolve to persevere and even forge ahead. The bottom line is, don't quit. Perseverance is applying sustained effort for the long haul, sticking with a chosen task, aiming for mastery. It's doing something despite difficulty or delay in achieving success. Grit and perseverance add up to what we call never give up. As one of our 16 key factors, it's a primary component and therefore can be directly taught and learned. Setbacks are inevitable. If you're stretching yourself, expect problems to arise. There's always a learning curve and life rarely runs smoothly. The main issue here is how you respond when things don't go to plan. Sooner or later, perhaps frequently, there'll be the temptation to stop, give in, take it easy, forget the goal, abandon your dream. This is especially likely early on in your attempt to change, but it can also be a problem or hurdle in the middle stages of an endeavour. So is there anything you can do to counteract this? Our simplest and most effective advice is to just keep going at such times. Remember that never give up is an essential part of the process. If necessary, when you're at your lowest ebb, just somehow hold on. Focus on your dream, reminding yourself of the vision. See lesser considerations for what they are, lesser. Refresh or refocus your expectations. Constructively look at the positives, what you have so far achieved, including past examples of where you've pulled through, instead of being dragged down by negativity. Think of the consequences of both failure and success. If you're part of a team, think of them, that you become more when you're part of a whole. Don't underestimate how much sustained effort is required to be the best you can be and to achieve a worthwhile goal. Keep working, or preferably work harder and smarter. We've previously looked at the disruption of an emotional flare-up, a shark attack, and this is undoubtedly a potential crisis point that could sink the ship. An acute awareness of this danger is helpful, provided such awareness is translated into action. You need to distance yourself from being drawn in and crippled by emotion. And yes, we're also back to the need for an anti-hypocrisy test here, because, crucially, actions speak louder than words. Awareness is worthless if it isn't applied. The parts of the jigsaw puzzle, all of the 16 key factors, fit together as a whole. And that's the real power of this particular key factor: never give up. A machine can stop working, perhaps even fall apart, if one key component fails. The doubts do reduce as you get more knowledgeable and experienced, as you progress further. It's all about putting in the many hours of effort, sometimes when you might not want to. By doing this, you gradually, step by step, gain mental strength. It builds up, bit by bit. There's no magic wand. Eventually, you realise you've acquired sufficient robustness and willpower to never give up. A lot of people won't put themselves on the line because of the risk of failure. Failing is usually viewed as an outright negative, impacting on someone's perception of their self-worth. But failing can instead be seen as a necessary step towards success. History is littered with famous people who initially failed but never gave up. Winston Churchill struggled at school, then twice failed to pass the entrance exam to enter the Royal Military Academy at Sandhurst. He was defeated in his first attempt to serve in Parliament. Sigmund Freud was booed from the podium when he first presented his ideas to the scientific community. At school, Albert Einstein was described as mentally slow, unsociable, and adrift forever in foolish dreams. Beethoven's violin teacher said he was hopeless as a composer. Our favourite example is Thomas Edison, the inventor who produced the first commercial incandescent light bulb. It took him up to 10,000 attempts before he eventually succeeded. Another favourite is Richard Bach's book, Jonathan Livingston Seagull. It was rejected by 18 publishers before going on to sell over 40 million copies, becoming one of the 30 best-selling books of all time. Struggle is usually seen as an undesirable thing to be avoided. And yet, when viewed from the perspective of developing your human potential, it's actually a good thing, an opportunity to learn, and therefore something to grasp. Grit and perseverance can most readily build at times of struggle. You won't get mentally stronger by taking it easy. It's better to push on and, at a higher level, to burn yourself to ashes. The nature of your meaning and purpose, combined with vision, expectation and the setting of goals, are obviously linked to never give up. The dream must be sufficiently strong to help maintain a long-term, forward-looking motivation for change. The aim and task of shifting from selfishness to non-selfishness is the biggest of all, but it's also the most difficult, the hardest to achieve. So never give up is absolutely crucial. Being a pioneer isn't easy, not least when it comes to this mother of all challenges. So, please, remember this: never, never, never give up.